Hello everyone, this is the fourth lesson from the revision guide. Our lesson today is about the respiratory system. Respiratory system, as we mentioned before, it's one of the main systems in our body. So, in our bodies, the respiratory system, firstly, what we should know about the respiratory system, we should know the function of respiratory system and the parts of respiratory system. So firstly, the main function of respiratory system is to gas exchange. So the gas exchange in our body, it happens by the help of respiratory system. What do you mean by gas exchange? It's exchanging the oxygen gas and carbon dioxide. As you know, when you breathe, when you inhale, you will inhale all the gases. So our bodies will use oxygen, and then when you will exhale carbon dioxide. So this is what they mean by gas exchange. This diagram, it shows the respiratory system in our body. As you can see, it consists of many organs. Here you should be able to know all the organs and also with the function of each one. Components of the respiratory system. Component of the respiratory system. From this diagram, we can find out the components of the respiratory system. Firstly, as we know, the process of gas exchange, it starts with your nose. When you will breathe in, so firstly the air, it goes through your nose. So the first component is nose. Nose, okay. Features and functions. The feature of nose and also the function of it. Firstly, nose, its hairs filter dust. What's that mean? The human nose has hairs in it. So the function of these hairs, it's what? It's to filter the dust, because as you know, the air that we breathe, it has in it dust. So to filter this dust from the air, the hairs in the nose, it will filter the air. One more thing, the walls of the nose, it's covered with mucus. Mucus, also the function of it, it's to trap the dust, and also it traps the bacteria. So first part, nose, it filters the air and also it traps the bacteria by the mucus. Then the second part, here it's the second part. The second part, they call it windpipe or trachea. Trachea is the scientific name, windpipe is the common name. So here, if you want to label this diagram, the first one, A, it's what? It's the windpipe or trachea. Trachea, the structure of it, it's made up of cartilage. Okay. The function of it also, it's to move the air from nose to the lungs, and it has some cilia in it. Cilia are tiny structures, they are like hair. Okay, this cilia, the function of it is to move dust and bacteria. Okay, that's why sometimes when you are breathing, if there is dust, what will happen? You will cough. So why you will cough? Why? What happened? It's because of the dust and bacteria. So when this dust and bacteria, it will stuck to the trachea, then it will let you to cough. After that, the main part, it's lung or lungs. Lungs are what? Are the organs that it will store the air, or it's like the part that the gas, the whole process of gas exchange, it happened in it. So now A, again, it's trachea. E, it's the lung. Then after trachea, as you can see here, we have these two tubes. These two tubes or pipes, we call them bronchus. So B, it's what? B, it's bronchus. Bronchus are tube to each lung with the same features as the windpipe. Then after bronchus, what we will have here inside the lungs, we will have another tubes, but here it's smaller in diameter. These tubes, we call them bronchioles. Bronchioles, as you can, tubes 1 millimeter in diameter with muscles in walls carry air to alveoli. After that, the smallest part in the lung, which is alveoli, or sometimes they call it air sac. In the function of alveoli and air sac, here what will happen, here it will be there will be the actual gas exchange. It will happen. This alveoli or these air sacs are covered with blood capillaries. So here what will happen, the blood capillaries will the carbon dioxide in the blood capillaries will diffuse inside the air sac, and at the same time the air that you inhaled, the oxygen that you inhaled, will diffuse inside or into the blood capillaries. Then the other organs that it will help the process of breathing are, firstly, as you can see this line, okay, this F, we call it diaphragm. Diaphragm, it's what? It's a set of muscles at the base of chest. When these muscles, it will contract and relax, it will affect on the size of the lungs, and also it will affect on the pressure inside your chest. So by the help of diaphragm, the lungs, it will take in and out the air. And here D, these are what? These are the ribs, and between the ribs there are also muscles. So the muscles in the ribs and the diaphragm, these two muscles, it will help the movement of lungs, and also it will help the process of breathing. Tips for success: make sure you can explain why the process of respiration is so vital. What do you think? Why the process of respiration is vital, or why it's important to survive or to stay alive? Gaseous exchange. Gaseous exchange, as we say, this process of the actual process of gas exchange, it happens by the help of the alveoli, or it will happen in the alveoli or the air sac. As I mentioned before, that alveoli or the air sac, it's a sac that is surrounded by blood capillaries. So here what will happen, the oxygen and carbon dioxide will diffuse through it. So when the oxygen will goes inside the blood capillaries, it has red blood cells in it, and red blood cells, as we mentioned before, it contains hemoglobin. So what will happen, the oxygen will join, or will join with will link with the hemoglobin to form, we call it oxyhemoglobin. Then after that, what will happen, carbon dioxide dissolved in the plasma diffuse from capillary through the air sacs, then this gas will be exhaled. So the process, it's how oxygen goes in, it goes to the air sac, then this oxygen, now its concentration, it's high, so it will diffuse inside the blood capillary, and it will link, or it will join the hemoglobin. At the same time, what will happen, the carbon dioxide from the blood capillaries, it will diffuse outside the blood capillaries, will go to the air sac, and then when you will exhale, you will release the gas, the carbon dioxide, outside your body. Then aerobic respiration. Here you should differentiate between these two words, breathing and respiration. Breathing, it's the process of inhaling and exhaling inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling oxygen, exhaling the carbon dioxide. But respiration here it differ. Respiration it's a chemical reaction. Okay, it's a chemical reaction in which energy will be released from the food. Okay, respiration it's what? Releasing the energy from food. But here they call it aerobic respiration. Why they call it aerobic respiration? They call it aerobic because the air or the oxygen will be used in this process. As it's shown in this equation, this equation it's for aerobic respiration, or sometimes they will say write the equation of cellular respiration. So it's the same meaning, aerobic respiration or cellular respiration. Here, what will happen? We say oxygen will be used to break down food in order to release energy. So you have glucose in your blood, then the oxygen will goes to your blood, will react with glucose, will break down the glucose, and it will release what? It will release energy. Energy, our cells will use it. And when you will exhale the carbon dioxide and also water as water vapor. So this is the equation for aerobic respiration. Check your understanding. This it will be your task. Spotlight on the test. Okay, complete the word equation for respiration. The answer it's here, it's this one. So here you need to focus and differentiate between photosynthesis that happened in plants and cellular respiration. These two processes, okay, these two chemical reactions, they are exactly the opposite of each other. Human reproduction it's the main way, or is the best way to save our species from extinction. So humans become capable of reproducing when they have gone through a period of physical change called puberty during adolescence. Puberty, it's a stage in our life that many physical changes will happen to our bodies. Adolescence. What do you mean by adolescence? It's a stage in our life. So adolescence is the time from the beginning of puberty to the end of the emotional changes. After this time or after this stage, the person will be adult. This topic you studied in grade 8. So let's see what are the physical changes that will happen to our bodies during puberty. Physical changes differ from male to female. For example, in male, what will happen? The physical change that will happen to male, they are firstly growth of hair on face and some other regions or places in our bodies. Okay, shoulders, broadening of shoulders, growth of penis and testicles, deepening of voice. So these are the main changes. These are the main physical changes in male during puberty. In females, also some changes will happen. Again, growth of hair on face, and the armpits and pubic region. So another physical change, which is development of breasts, growth of vagina and uterus, widening of pelvis. So these are the main physical changes that will happen to male and female during the puberty. Another changes that will happen to the body, we call them emotional changes. As you know, during the puberty or during the adolescence, male and female, they will be like hyper sensitive. So why? Because some emotional changes will happen to their body. Both sexes have emotional changes due to their physical changes and a desire to be more independent. You will see male, female during this stage of the life, they will try always to be independent. For example, they think they are always right. Or all their action, they are taking actions and pretending they are doing everything correctly. So another emotional change, which is anxiety. Anxiety can arise due to how? The variation between people in the rate of timing of physical changes. This stage of life, it differs from one person to another. Some people, for example, it start when they are 10 years old, 10, 11 years old. Others, it will be a little bit late. For example, it will start when they will be 12 years old, 12, 13, 14. So this, it depends on many reasons. Okay, for example, hormones, and also it depends on the region where they live. It depends on the let's say environmental conditions. The reproductive systems of both male and female. Each reproductive system, it differs from the another one. For example, what do I mean? The reproductive system of male, it differs totally from the reproductive system in female. Each reproductive system, it has its own organs. For example, let's start with the male testes. Okay, two testicles. Features and function. The function of testicles, it's what? It's to produce a sperm. Okay. Then glands along tube to the outside called the urethra. Glands produce fluid which mixes with the sperm for semen. So here firstly you will have testes. This testis, it will produce sperms. Then this sperms, it will be mixed with a fluid that produced from the urethra. Then another organ, we call it penis. Penis, the function of it, it's what? It to delivers semen into vagina. In the process of fertilization, so what will happen? The sperms, it needs to go to the vagina, and then it will meet with the ovules, or to meet the eggs in female body. So the organ that it's responsible for this transmission, it's what? It's the penis. So here were the main organs in the male reproductive system. Then if we will come to the female reproductive system, we will see it consists of ovary, oviduct, uterus, and vagina. Ovary, usually it's two ovaries. Okay, each female has two ovaries. The function of it, it's what? It's to produce eggs. Here in male we say testis, it will produce sperm. In female, the ovary or the ovaries will produce the eggs. Then the oviduct, from the name duct. Okay, so here what will happen? It contains ciliated cells which move egg along the oviduct. Firstly, the egg will be produced in the ovary. Then this egg, how it will move in the female reproductive system, it will move through the oviduct. How? The oviduct, the walls of it, it contains cilia. As we said, cilia are outgrowth. It looks like hair. So this, it moves backward and forward. Then what will happen? This, it will move the egg. Then uterus. Uterus, after the process of fertilization, what will happen? In uterus, it's the place where fetus develops, or the embryo. Okay, what will happen? In oviduct, the sperms will fuse with the eggs to form the zygote. Then this zygote, it will move to the uterus, and here it will develop into fetus. Then vagina. Vagina, it's the part or it's the organ in the female reproductive system that it will receive penis and semen, which is the fluid that which is fluid plus the sperms. The ministerial cycle. The ministerial cycle, it's what? Or a cycle that it happened in the female reproductive system, and this it repeats every month. During this month or during this cycle, many changes that will happen to the body of the female. Let's review what are these changes. Firstly, the first change, the walls of the uterus thickness. Okay, it will be thicker every month, just in case the fertilized egg is received. Okay, so here, as we said again, in the oviduct there will be fertilization. If there will be fertilization, this the zygote or the fertilized egg will be moved to the uterus. So the uterus every month, the walls of it will be thicker. Why it will be thicker? Because it will have more blood, just in case there will be a fertilized egg. But if no fertilized egg is received, the walls breaks down, causing bleeding from the vagina. So if this cycle, as we said, it's happening every month, but if there will be no fertilization, so what will happen? The walls, it will break down, and it will cause bleeding from the vagina. Fertilization. The process of fertilization, it's what? It's when the female gamete fuse with the male gamete. Male plus female gametes together, they fuse together, they join together. This process we call it fertilization. Where this process will happen, we said it will happen in the oviduct. When the sperm will fuse with the egg, they will form a zygote, or we call it fertilized egg. Fetal development. After fertilization, what will happen? The zygote, it will form the zygote. Zygote, it's one cell. Then this zygote or this one cell, it will start to divide. When it will divide, it will form a ball of cells, or many cells. Then this zygote or these balls of cells, when it will move to the uterus. What will happen? It will attach to the walls of the uterus, and it will form a placenta. Placenta, what do you mean by placenta? Placenta, it's the organ which takes food and oxygen to the fetus from the mother's blood, and at the same time it takes wastes such as carbon dioxide from the fetus back to the mother's blood. So how the embryo or how the fetus will receive oxygen? It's through placenta. When the cells of the fetus will use this oxygen, of course they will produce some wastes. How these wastes, like carbon dioxide, how it will be removed from the fetus body? It will be removed also through the same tube, which is through the placenta. Then this placenta, it makes, or it will release some hormones. These hormones, it will stop the ovaries producing more eggs. Okay, that's why, for example, if a woman will be pregnant, what will happen? The menstrual cycle, it will stop. But why it will stop, or how it will stop? Because of the placenta. This placenta, it sends hormones, it releases hormones. These hormones, it goes to the ovary, so it tells the ovary that to stop producing more eggs during the pregnancy time. Then the fetus, it's connected to the placenta by a structure we call it umbilical cord. So umbilical cord, it's the structure that it connects the fetus to the or with the placenta. Then if you will study the structure of the fetus, how it is, okay, you will see it's covered the fetus, it will be covered by a sac or a bag. They call it amnion. And this sac, it's filled with a watery liquid. This watery liquid, they call it amniotic fluid. The amniotic fluid, the function of it, it's what? It's to protect the fetus. So the amniotic fluid prevents the fetus from being squashed and allow the fetus to float freely and have space for its limbs to develop. So this was everything about fetal development. This topic, if you want more details about it, you can review the book of for grade 8. Tips for success. Remember that the outer layer of cell of the zygote develops to form the placenta, and the inner layer of cells develop into the fetus. Check your understanding. This is your task. Okay, your task here, it's your task. You need use these words to label figure 2.8. Okay, so depending on what I explained here, you should know how to solve it. Okay, health. We will see how the health it affect on, for example, on the sperms and also on eggs, producing sperms and eggs. Firstly, health. What do you mean by health here? It depends on your daily life. It depends on your diet. Okay, it depends on what kind of food that you eat, and also depends on your daily habits. Okay, for example, conception and pregnancy. A diet that is lacking nutrients and is abalanced, how it will affect? It will reduce sperm production, and also it can stop the menstrual cycle and slow fetal growth, producing a smaller babies. So during the pregnancy time, so a woman, she should get enough amount of nutrients, because if she will if her nutrient it's less, so she will, or she's getting less amount of nutrient, so this it will affect on the fetal. How it will affect on it? The fetal will grow slowly, and then also the size of the embryo will be smaller. Another example of substances that it will affect, it's alcohol. Okay, also alcohol, it's one of the main reasons that it reduces sperm production. Smoking, also it reduces the efficiency of the ovaries. So here it's just about daily habits, okay, or the habits that you are following them. Smoking, drinking alcohol, not eating enough amount of food, all of this it will affect on the fetus, it will affect on the sperm production, egg production, and so on. Beside that, we have some diseases. We call them sexually transmitted diseases. Sexually transmitted diseases are the diseases that it will transmit through or by sex, by this sexual relations. So, what will happen? This STD or sexually transmitted diseases, also it can affect the number of sperms, and also it affect the fertility of male and female. Example of disease, here we have TB, tuberculosis. This kind of disease, it can block tubes carrying sperm in males and can make females infertile. TB can kill a fetus. Another example of disease, malaria and tropilia. So here are some diseases that it affect the fetus. Growth and development. Growth of and development. What do you mean by growth and development here? It's when the fetus will start, will continue making new cells, So this is growing or growth. But this process of growth, sometimes it will affect by the poor diet. Okay, how? When embryo will not get enough amount of nutrients, so some diseases it will form to the embryos. The example of these diseases, for example, marasmus and kwashiorkor. Marasmus and kwashiorkor, these two examples of diseases, it happened by lack of protein. When the embryo will not get enough amount of protein, so it will have this kind of diseases. And another kind of diseases, for example, a mother suffering from HIV, which is AIDS, okay, it may pass this to baby. So all of this, it will affect on the health of the baby or of the embryo. Behavior also, as we say, it's your daily habits. Okay, so what are you following, good habits or no? So all of this, it will affect on the health of the baby or the embryo. Then check your understanding, it's your task. So that was everything for this lesson. I hope it was clear. And again, as I mentioned before, uh, when you will watch this video, write your name so I can make sure you got it. And when you will watch this video, please don't depend totally on this revision guide. This revision guide is just another book that it will help you to achieve your goal. So don't forget your book, the checkpoint or the science book. Okay. Uh, Thank you and have a good day.